We go to our GL responsibility. General ledger, supervisor, IT India, journals, enter journal. Okay. Yesterday we created the sorry. Yeah. Source payables, source payable, and click on find. So this is the poster journal. When we click review, we will be able to see the accounting. The accounting has happened, the purchasing department liability this side, and purchasing expenses this side. So this is one accounting we have seen for the AP invoice. Let's proceed to the next option. In accounts payable, today we will complete. We enter the invoice batch. Let's say I'm going to enter in the same page. Hardware. Click on invoices. Okay. You can very well come down. Batch means you can control as many as invoices you want and you can complete over the same batch. Now I am going to show you the entry of credit memo. And we will see this one withholding tax related. Prepayment we will see when we complete the bank account setup, because this requires the payment as well, and I explain you why for advance also we are reaching the invoice. Expense report we see with the employee expenses module, and now we are going through standard credit memo and then withholding tax. Now credit note. Let's say same supplier. Oh, this is just a note. Same supplier. Let's say 22, 21, ABC hyphen 100 credit memo minus figure negative amount. Okay. This is all you have done. You have to enter if description. You can very well enter credit memo for invoice ABC hyphen 201. Okay. And payment payment method, pay group. That's pretty much okay. On the this side we have something. This is made mandatory by somebody else. Okay, it is not by us. This field is being used for using the entering additional details. Okay, so we entered the invoice. Now we entered the line items. minus 1000. Then click on distribution. Then your account, which account is going to impact? C1, CHN, purchasing, 5, account number starting with the 5, cost of sales, intercompany, purchase. Save this information. How you enter the invoice, same way credit note, just the difference is you have to enter in the negative amount. That's the only difference. It is done. Now you click on actions, validate. Okay. This is validated. Action, create accounting. Then you can final post. I'm clicking final post. I clicked OK. Okay, but when you go into the real-time working, okay, with any organization, you may not see all these options enabled over here. They may have separate processes. Okay, so you may have just the validate, and this accounting will be in the separate responsibility. This approval process will be in the separate responsibility. So here we are just going through the very standard process. Organization to organization, it is going to change. So yes, it is accounted and everything is done. So we entered one invoice, one credit note. Next, we process one requirement of withholding tax. So when we have the withholding tax, how to proceed for that? So before we do the withholding, we need to check few setups. What is that setup? You have to go to the setups, options, payable options. In the payable options, you have withholding tax. So we have enabled use withholding. Okay. Apply withholding tax at the time of invoice validation or at the time of payment. So there is a possibility that you can very well calculate the withholding tax at the time of invoice validation or at the time of payment. So, as per our Indian rule, most of the time it is when we receive the invoice and we book the invoice in the system, at the time we generate the withholding tax for the supplier. And there are few cases where the payment, this interest is, this withholding tax is deducted at the time of payment. Let's say bank pay us a deposit interest of more than 20,000 rupees in a year, then at that time they will deduct the withholding tax. So at the time of payment applicable that cases, or there may be other cases. Right now I am not aware of that one, but these are the cases. So a withholding date basis, on which date it is to be done, it is based on the invoice date. Withholding amount basis, include discount amount if any discount we are given, include tax amount if we are doing the withholding on the tax amount as well. Create withholding tax invoice. So there is a possibility you can very well create the withholding tax invoice in the name of withholding tax authority. Let's say Income Tax India. Okay, you create one supplier, Income Tax India, and generate the withholding tax invoices for that supplier. And at the time of payment, you select the invoices which are required to be paid. So that is can be done at the time of invoice validation, at the time of payment, or at the time of withholding application. Okay, so if you select never, it will just create the accounting, and if you click at the time of invoice validation, it will generate the invoice. So now we see with never what it is going to do, and then with invoice validation again. So this is one setup part is done. Second, second in the tax, we have withholding tax. Okay, so before we move on to this, we have to create one supplier called as withholding tax entry. Create supplier organization name, income tax India. Tax control India. There is no registration number will come, line of business, so probably nothing will. Click on apply. Okay. So we have something already available. But still we create a new organization. We need to update this better. Income tax India withholding tax. Create new organization. Okay, so we have just done created, and here we will just update few details like address book. In the address book, we create one address. India. Value. Address name. Tax India withholding tax. Used for payment purposes. Continue. We have to then associate this with our operating unit. Click on apply. It is done. So it is done. Then we have the accounting. In the accounting, all is taking from the default. Here in the liability account, we are going to change the liability. Description. Withholding. Okay, we have withholding tax liability account 1,333,2. Okay, if we search, there will be no combination will be available. Purchasing, instead of purchasing, we use function as 000 and we click on create. This is the function of dynamic insert. Okay, if there is no combination available, I can very well create it at the time of doing entry. Liability account is done. I will use the same account for the prepayment. Bills payable mostly we will not use for this supplier, but still we are going to use the same account. Save it. Okay, the accounting changes is saved. Now we have invoice management, which is by default will be taking the details from the setups. Okay, we have already all this setups is done. So just click on save and the supplier is ready. Close this window. Now you go to setup, tax, withholding tax, codes. We are going to set up the withholding tax code for the our operating unit. Tax authority, income tax, India. Just a second. Just no. See. We have done the setup correctly. It is available. Withholding tax. Tax included. Okay. And we do one thing, we attach this, our operating unit to this organization income tax income. But I will come back why that supplier is not available to us. Search our supplier. Yes. This one. Go to address. Manage sites. Print. I will choose this one. Click on apply. Sometimes quick update page. Now this site is available to us. Okay, this supplier is now available to us. We proceed further. Codes. Complex India. If we select this, we have available. Okay, now tax code. Let's say WHT 10% enabled. Okay, withholding tax. Percent. GL account, we keep it same. Okay. Rate structure, we are going to use the flat rate. So type standard rate 10%. Okay. So this is what we have done the setup. Period limit, amount ranges, that is very well can be done, but as we are not using some of the what we say localization fields, means India specific configuration pages, so that India specific, like from 0 to this amount you should not charge any withholding tax, but after that you must charge. So that all will be managed in the localization fields, not over here. So this is what we have. Setup is done, 10% withholding tax. Now this setup we will use in our withholding invoice withholding. Before that, for the supplier, the ABC supplier, you must enable ABC. What was the name for ABC India Limited? This one. For this supplier, we have to update tax details. The tax detail, okay. Allow withholding tax is available at the account level, but what we have to do, we have to enable it as a site level. So we go inside update. This is for transaction tax. Withholding tax is enabled. Tax and reporting.
Hello, Deepak.
Yes.
I need to drop off.
Okay, sure. Not an issue.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye-bye. We enabled this at the account level. Let's see if it is working or not. Holding tax is setup is done. Save. The setup was done. Now we go to the invoices, entry, invoice batches. I guess this call will drop off. Lavanya, you join again. Okay, I'm just stopping here and ending the call.
Yeah, okay, sir.